As you can see on my screen, Bitcoin keeps going up and down, which is bad for the old coin market. I have said several times in the past few days that I am not worried about the short-term moves because I think that by the end of this week, prices will be much higher. Another thing is that I believe the whole month of July will be very strong for all cryptocurrencies. And I want to talk about a lot of things going on right now that we should pay more attention to than price movement in this video. And the reason I say that is because these things will cause big changes in the price. The first thing we can see is that Bitcoin is down 1.5% right now, and most old coins are responding in a much bigger way. This is because Bitcoin is so popular, it has been on my mind. This is also how the market has looked over the last week. You should know that Bitcoin is down 1%. BTC has lost 1% in the past week. As we can see, a lot of old coins besides XRP are down more than 2 percentage points in just 1 week. Ethereum is down 2%, but take a look at this. We can see that some of them are actually down more than 10%. As a result, most of the old coin market will respond to Bitcoin's actions in its own unique way. Even though Bitcoin has a market share of over 65%, most of the time, though, XRP has been pretty steady over the last few days. I remember that nice little run up to about $2.30 and a quarter, but now we're back down to about $2.17. A lot of people are really angry about this. All of this to say that we are only in build-up zones right now. You guys need to know that nothing bad is going to happen. I'm going to stress this. There won't be any changes to old coins until Bitcoin hits a new all-time high and starts to lose its domination. If you're getting anxious, I'm sorry to say that you'll have to wait a little longer. Okay, but this is what the weekly looks like when it's not the everyday. This is how the monthly looks. When it comes to these 3 time frames, we're still pretty much in the red. The everyday still looks pretty good. Besides that, there are a few old coins jumping on the hourly now. On the other hand, we're mostly waiting for the daily, weekly, and monthly ones to turn green. And for altcoins, the old coin markets look pretty good and stable on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. I really want them to get back up from the lows and really follow stocks, which brings up stocks. Stocks are hitting all-time highs. The S&P is almost at 6,200. Once more, I believe the next level is close to 7K on the S&P. We won't get there right away, but I think the S&P will continue to rise through the summer and into the fall. As of right now, the S&P is going up, and I think crypto will follow suit. We're down almost a percentage point today on the crypto market, which is worth $3,280,000,000,000, 0 cents. Fear and greed aren't very good or bad. The altcoin season is beginning to pick up speed. 23 out of 100, still around 15.7K for Bitcoin and 2,400 for Ethereum. And as I said, XRP is worth $2.17. Look at this picture of Bitcoin every week, so I brought it up, right? It's getting a little tight here. We're stuck in this tunnel while we wait for something to happen. It seems like everyone is a little scared about the recent move in Bitcoin because they thought it would be good for the price. Guys, Bitcoin is down about 2.7%. This is nothing at all. We might even hit the bottom of this trend line again in this weekly candle, which would mean a drop of about 5.8%. Or it could be next week's candle, which would be around 497, which is almost a 5% drop on Bitcoin. We'll have to squeeze between these wedges, though, and the next goal is 120K once we break out of the squeeze. We've seen this before, right? There have been many times when we've squished in a circle. Even back here, March through November 2024 is a great case. This whole thing was just one long wedge looking for a big breakout, but all we did was chop down. Then Bitcoin finally starts to show that nice rising shape. That's also true for the way our prices are moving right now, with this weekly wedge kind of drawing them together is more of a giant wedge. It does take a little longer. It'll be very interesting when this finally breaks out, though. It's been going down for about 42 days now, and we're just waiting for something to happen. I said it would be a little dull while we stay in build-up zones because of this. Even XRP is staying put in an area where it can gain value. At the moment, it looks like we've hit this upper trend line. We tried to break out even when the price went up to about $2.30. We failed to do that. I think we should just kind of chop here. We could even have a nice little wick back down to around $2.00, $2.04 or so. We could also finally get out of this. We got to $2.46. We checked the trend line again around $2.13, and then we go crazy. Now that would fit with what's going on with the Fed and these US bills for law. It would also fit with how the market is really catching up to stocks. It would also give Bitcoin some time. Also, most of these moves will happen in July. All of this will begin in July. I still think it will happen between the end of June and the beginning of July, just like I said before. In July, you should really pay attention to old coins. That's what I'm saying now. It's something I've said many times. There has been a market building up for a while now. It looks like this when Bitcoin is the leader as well, with Bitcoin still being the most popular cryptocurrency. We're still waiting for a big downtrend to start. In the regular markets, on the other hand, the dollar is actually falling right now. This is the dollar. We're at 96, very close to 96.7. It's crazy that we lost almost all of the dollar's big support zones. Also, this is crazy because people are now losing faith in crypto when this is how the dollar looks. In 2020 and 2021, when I want to go back in time, the dollar was also falling very hard. I have a question for you. Who thought that crypto would go down during this time? Almost everyone was still very sour on old coins at this point in time on the dollar. I didn't think those old coins would move. This went on until 2020, and it really was, or I'm sorry, it was from 2020 to 2021. Additionally, this is precisely the moment when the old season began as the dollar began to rise again. Right now, I'm paying attention to what the dollar is doing because this is a huge leg down. This crash on a world reserve currency is crazy. When we think about the dollar falling apart and being weak, there is a lot of danger on assets right now. It was even said here. Right now, the DXY is falling, which means that risky assets like stocks and crypto are about to go up even more. We have real breaking news here. The worst start to the year for the US dollar since 1973. Yes, this is a big deal. We need to pay attention to what the dollar is doing. So now everyone thinks that this crash will keep going and that the dollar's done for good. Again, we've heard this a lot of times, but I do believe that we will begin a nice upward trend here and then finally break out. I should also say that the bull run will end when we break out on the dollar. Things are a lot like they were this time back here. As I've said many times, the dollar was beginning to break out. When November came around, it finally began to break to the upside. Right here was the peak of the bull run. It makes sense that we're keeping an eye on the dollar to see if it gains any real strength on the DXY. We need to look at this picture every once in a while. As of now, though, this tells us that stocks and crypto should go up. Also, the US M2 money supply rose 4.5% year over year to a high $21 trillion, $940 billion, 0 cents in May.